Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my first impressions reaction to episode 1 of Dirty Pair. So, this one may seem to a lot of you like it's come out of nowhere, but for me, this has been a long time coming. I have seen cosplays of the characters from this series. I have seen a lot of stuff, like, all over the internet about this. I've seen fan art, I've seen all kinds of stuff, and I've even seen recently there's been apparently a GoFundMe or something like that, trying to get this series dubbed. And apparently it shattered every goal. Like, it had all these different goals, all these different tiers for rewards and extras if they reach past that funding goal. And they shattered every goal. They did everything. Apparently it is happening. It is getting dubbed. And it's going to be a thing. But this is a series, because of seeing it, again, everywhere. It's been something I've wanted to check out. I don't know what it's actually about, because everything I've seen of it has been, like, just out of context pictures and again, cosplays, fan art, and stuff. So I don't have any actual context for the series, but it's been something that I've really had on my mind for a long time and just never got around to. So I decided, let's do a first impressions reaction for it, check it out, see if it's something we might want to react to. And if not, maybe I'll just watch it on my own time. Or maybe it will be something I just am not into. I don't know. But I want to at least give it a chance. So, the only thing I know about it is that the main characters are these two girls. I believe that they're called the Dirty Pair. And I know that they're bounty hunters or something like that. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something in that kind of vein. So I don't fully know what to expect. This series is from the 80s, though. This is, like, from the late 80s, so it's an older series. I will have to keep that in mind while watching. It is an older series, so the animation is not going to be as great. The art, the voice acting, all of that, it's not going to be as, like, quality as more modern stuff. Just in a general sense. But I've liked older shows before, so it's not necessarily counting it out. And I'm just interested to see what this is all about, because, again, apparently this is a really popular show, because, again, I see it everywhere, all the time. Like, I mean, obviously not, like, every day or anything, or even every other day or whatnot, but, like, I see it a lot, and I've never known what it was, like, outside of just the most general basics, and I don't even know how accurate what I know is. So it's like I want to see what people are so interested in, especially with this GoFundMe, with the fact that this was funded breaking away all of the goals, and just to get a dub decades and decades after it first came out. Like, that very much interests me. Why? Why is it like that? Why are so many people so invested in this series that they're going to put forth all this money, shattering all the goals just to get it dubbed? Especially when there's a lot of people out there who don't even like dubbed anime. I'm really genuinely curious about this, just for that sake alone. But yeah, I don't know what to expect going into this, but I thought, why not? I mean, if worst comes to worst, it's just not my kind of thing. Um, but hey, it might be something that I end up enjoying. And with the time period it came out to, I have to remember that, this is the late 80s. It's like things are not going to be necessarily the best during that time in terms of a lot of things with female characters and whatnot. There were issues, let's put it that way, in terms of how women were represented in media and just various other things like that, just because of the time period. And that doesn't make it right, but I also have to keep that in mind, just like I have to keep in mind the age in terms of voice acting and animation and all that. It's just something I have to keep in mind while watching, that there might be some things that are not okay in it, that are offensive even. Um, and I just have to temper my mind for that, and as long as it doesn't get too bad to where it actually really bothers me, I should be okay. But if it does get too bad, then that would be kind of a stopping block for me. We'll see how that goes. But hopefully it handles things pretty well. Hopefully. We shall see. But let's just get this started, hope for the best, and see what this series has in store. Also, this is the first episode of the actual series. There is a 10-episode OVA series, I believe, as well, and 2 OVAs that were tacked on to the end of the original series, as sort of like these extra episodes. I am talking about the original full-length series, which I believe is 24 episodes total, 26 with the 2 extras. I am talking about that one, not the 10-episode OVA. Or there's a movie too, I think. And then like a reboot or something. There's a few different shows for this series that I noticed. I made sure to get the main series. So yeah. Either way, let's just get this started and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I need to go back and look here, just to try and figure some stuff out, because this was so fast-paced that it's like I almost couldn't keep up with anything. And on top of that, it's like it was so fast, there was so much happening. This felt like the content of 2 episodes squished into one. It was so rushed that it's like so much was just happening in so little of a time. I just couldn't keep track. So this is 20 years after the creation of warp travel, which is a concept we've seen in a lot of sci-fi, being able to just instantaneously, or not necessarily instantaneously, but being able to basically teleport, to warp yourself and ship or whatever. And it takes place in Eleanor City, which has a giant tower controlled by a supercomputer. And the main plot, at least of this first episode, is that the supercomputer, which apparently has sentience, goes out of control and starts causing issues. And we have our 2 main characters, Kay and Yumi, who are just kind of having to deal with that. Let me see if I can bring up their bios here, because I did not get a chance to read all of that. Okay. So they are both 19. Um, they are both codenamed Lovely Angel, which is apparently what their group name is actually called. But I guess like the people tend to know them more as the Dirty Pair. Though they, at least especially Kay, don't seem to like that name. They are WWWA Trouble Consultants. So they're not like bounty hunters like I was initially thinking. Um, so a trouble consultant, I guess that just means they're consulted with to help deal with trouble. So I guess they're sort of like some kind of enforcement group. Um, but we see they have they're apparently not human in terms of the way we think of it, because at least Kay here, I'm looking at Kay's profile at the moment. She is from the planet Nioge. She's not from Earth. Um, and she was born in the year 2121. So 100 years from this year, actually, funny enough. Um, and she was born on November 27th. So this month, even. So that's kind of funny. Um, that 100 years from this year, this month, even, is when her character is born. So that's interesting. And then we see you. Oh, hold on. It also gives her measurements for some reason, including her bust, waist, and hips. It's like, oh, okay, why do we need to know that? Um, Let me see if I can get Yumi's profile up here. Yeah, same kind of things. Yumi was born in 2122, March 18th, so she's actually younger than Kay. And she's from the planet of Koashar, so they're not even from the same planet. So that's, I guess, kind of interesting to know, too. But yeah, so this episode is mainly them having to deal with this out of control supercomputer that's kind of gone all Skynet and is causing not only just flooding, extreme temperatures, huge gusts of wind within the tower, but blatantly killing people. I mean, like, there are people who very blatantly died, and not even just the what was it called? The people who were in the ship trying to get to Kay and Yumi. Like, yeah, obviously they were very heavily killed. Like, that's undeniable. But there were other people here, like, during the flooding and everything, you see. Like, they're very much, like, dead. They're not surviving that. And let me see if there's another part here. Let me see if I can find it. Probably gonna have trouble finding the exact moment. I know it was before the midway point. It was after the flooding and all. Oh, I think I found it. Hold on. So, yeah, you see the water exploding and everything here. Yeah, explosion. Yeah, okay, so there's one part in here pretty early on. You see these people on the elevator, including the guy with, like, it's not really a mohawk. I said it was a mohawk, but the blue, like, hair that's kind of, like, tied up into, like, this. I don't know how to describe it. But you see, like, there's an explosion that rocks their elevator or whatever they're in at the moment. And you see the elevator falling completely, like, just, it's, like, come out of its casing or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what these words are. But it's come out and it's just falling probably hundreds of feet to the ground below. And it's like, oh yeah, that thing, like, they're dead on impact, 100%. It doesn't show the impact itself. But it's very clear, like, oh yeah, they are dead. Everyone in that elevator is dead. And then, after that, you see like these people going across a walkway, and there's an explosion right there, and their bodies are just thrown by the explosion and everything. You see water exploding up, and like the ground being lifted, people being lifted with it. People are very much dying, and it's like, oh, okay. So this series is very much mature. I mean, there's obviously some language in it. Obviously, Kei and Yumi have sexy outfits, let's be honest. It's very clearly meant for a somewhat older audience. Probably around Kei and Yumi's ages, probably 19 and up and everything, or 18 and up, like early young adult kind of age. Is probably the demographic it's meant for. The art and animation, kind of what I expected for its age. Even with the like overly dramatic zoom-ins and stuff, that just things that were like, oh my god, that is so cheesy. That's almost Speed Racer levels of cheesy. Not quite, obviously, not quite to that level, but almost. It kind of gets close to that. And it's like, obviously, the voice acting isn't the best. It's not as bad as I thought it would be for the time, honestly. It could be a lot worse, but it's not the best. It's obvious how far voice acting has come. Let's put it that way. But the pacing in this was trash. The story itself is fine, like the idea behind it, but this story here, this opening story, needed to be 2 episodes. Having it only be 1 episode, it was so rushed, so poorly paced, that it was just very hard to get through, really. Because it's like, it's going so fast and giving you so much in such a small amount of time that it both feels way too fast and way too slow. Because it's kind of just throwing you off. Or at least it's throwing me off. By its breakneck speed at just doing things. That it kind of feels like it's throwing off my entire sense of timing and everything. So, like, I felt like it was going so fast that there were points that it should have ended sooner. And again, I feel like this would have worked better as a 2-parter. It would have given it more time to breathe, given us more time to actually get information I feel we just did not have the time to explore. It would have given us more time to get introduced to these characters, too. Because we get almost nothing in terms of how to feel about these characters here. And maybe future episodes will go into that more, but like, we get the barest bones personality for them. And that's it. And there's some things in here that were just so random, too, that it just felt kind of out of place. Like, the entire thing with, like, that one guy who accidentally bumps into Yumi, and it's like, she thinks he's a hunk and everything, but, like, he never comes back. He never has a point. Like, again, maybe he comes back in future episodes or whatnot, but it felt completely out of place with everything else going on. Not to mention, it just kind of throws you into everything. Again, with it being so fast-paced, it's like you don't get a moment to really breathe, and it just feels like a bit too much. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just me, but I feel anxious watching it. And I don't feel like that would be good for a reaction series, so I'm just going to say I'm not going to be reacting to this one. I gave it a chance. I was willing to give it a chance and check it out and see what it was like. Maybe I'll watch it more on my own time, but it is not something I will react to. It's just with the way this first episode was paced, and I don't know if the rest of the episodes are like that, but if they're anything like this, it's like I just it's gonna make me anxious, and it's gonna bother me, and I don't need that. Um, I understand. I understand it's a product of the time. I get that. Like there were a lot of shows back in those days that were more like this, and it just tried to get out so much information in such a little amount of time. But and there are even shows like that currently. But at the same time, it's just like it's too much for me to handle. It's too much, and it's like it kind of. I feel like this is a series that could benefit from a reboot. Because even the reboot that they had, from what I saw, was still pretty darn old. I think this would benefit from a modern reboot, um, being done with like a company like Studio Bones or something, um, or maybe even Madhouse. Um, Getting like more modern VAs and better animation and art and just better pacing and all. I feel like the concept is good, and there's a lot that could be really interesting. But again, it's just you don't get time to actually take anything in. It's too fast paced that it doesn't give you the opportunity to really understand or comprehend anything. Like even with the info screens on the characters, they come up so quick. You're reading it and they just flash off. They're just gone before you're even halfway through reading the screen. And it's like, are we supposed to be able to read that? Are we supposed to pause it? Because the thing is, back then, it's like it's going to be on television or on VHS or whatnot, right? If you have VHS, yeah, you can pause that easily. But for those watching on TV, are they supposed to be able to read that? I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Um, but it's like it was so quick, and then again, it's so much happening that you don't get to know like the characters that well. You don't get to fully understand the story. I had to look back. I had to look back at the start of these afterthoughts just to figure out some of the stuff that was happening, and just to find out a little bit more information on this world and the characters, because I couldn't get it all in time before I moved on to the next thing. And that's not a great thing. Like, I understand they want to have a start that like gets you right into the action and right into like what the tone of the series is going to be, but you have to establish things first. That's why, again, this would have been better as a two-parter. That way you could have given a little bit at the beginning to establish the characters a little more, or even just throughout the episode, a little bit more time to establish and build the characters in the world, so that it didn't just feel like you actually have to go back and either watch it all again or just go check the subtitles and everything just to figure out what the hell is happening. It's just, I feel that's its biggest flaw. It just is so fast that it doesn't give you a chance to understand what you're taking in. And that's not a good thing, like, at all. That's very bad. You need to be able to understand the world that this is set in. You need to be understand the characters. You need to understand just everything that's happening. So it was a bit much for me. I can definitely see it as a series that is pretty popular, though. I can see shows like this being pretty well liked. So I kind of get that aspect of it, especially from a nostalgic point of view. But at least based on this first episode, it's like it was just way too much, way too quick, and just did not do enough to really make me feel anything positive towards these characters or the story or world or whatever. So again, it's not like I actually hated it or anything. It's just it didn't give me enough to make me like it. I'm just, I guess you could say I'm kind of just meh on it. And I just, there's just issues that I can't ignore. So we won't be reacting to it, but again, maybe I'll check out more of it on my own time. But do not worry, because there will be more first impressions reactions coming in the future. I actually have quite a few lined up that I really want to get to, so there might even be more this week. So, in fact, I'd say there probably will be at least one more this week. Because, again, there's a few that I want to check out that I actually have lined up and already downloaded. So, yeah. Obviously, it won't take precedence over any of the weekly reactions that I get to or anything like that. Those will take precedence still, but I want to get at least this done this week and just kind of check this out again because of everything I had seen of it. And again, I love their designs. I love Kei and Yumi's designs. Their designs are fantastic, especially Kei. Like I love their outfits. I love just everything about their designs. I just feel like everything else doesn't quite match the quality of that. I also feel like just again because of the same reasons. Last thing I'm going to say, because of the same reasons about not really getting to know the characters much, I feel like the character designs made me feel like their personalities were going to be more different. Like I felt like Kei was going to be more of like this tough, badass, cool type of character, and Yumi was going to be more of like the more cutesy, fun-loving, girly girl type character. But they're really not much different at all, and I don't really get either of those vibes from either. Like, yeah, Yumi had the entire thing about oh what a hunk and everything. It's like there was a tiny bit there, and Kei was a little bit more. How do I put it? She took a few more risks than Yumi did and everything with some of her ideas, but it was such bare bones that again I feel like more modern shows have done this kind of thing better, and again that's why I feel like a modern reboot of this series could be a fantastic idea. But either way, tell me what you think down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.